Hello, everybody. So obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you see I have Michael McMillian. I don't have to tell you who he is, but I will. For those of you listening, and I have a lot of new listeners, Michael, a ton of new listeners
Ooh,
from
oh,
doing the Rachel Dratch Woo Woo
oh
podcast. So
yeah.
yeah, got hit with a lot. So for those of you who don't know, this is Michael McMillian from the Bigfoot Collectors Club. He is part comedian, part expert on
Yeah, I'd
part
say part,
expert
part. Emphasis
part
on part.
part comedian he is full actor. He is a expert on the UFO. I'm saying expert because he's going to deny it. UFOs, aliens, paranormal. He brings the logical, grounded side to this world. And he's, for those of you who've heard him over and over again from his podcast, because I hear about it over and over. You know him, Michael McMillian from the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Hi, you know him. You're
Hi.
sick of him
No,
already.
they love you. I hear about it all the time.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
wait, I
that's
have to
very
do my
nice.
magic wand, Michael.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Woo! Wee!
Now we officially begin. All the problems went away. All of them.
They
We're done.
all went away. We're
It's a
good
wrap.
now.
We're all, but everything's went away. All right,
That's what
Michael.
my mom used to say whenever I was having a problem. She'd be like, "I wish I had a magic wand to wave it and make everything all, just make it go away."
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
like she spoke through me then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Not
so.
surprising. Not
Yeah.
surprising. Okay, so for those of you who are new to me, I'm Adele Levine. This is a house medium. I'm your house medium, and we're going to get into it with Michael about all his paranormal stuff that he's been going through. But my favorite topic is going to be you went and did what do you call it? You don't call it a ghost hunt. You call it a
Ghost
ghost
Quest.
quest. I love that.
Well, it's kind of a dumb thing that we came up with on the show, but I did feel like, well, we're not hunting ghosts. We're not trying to
Yeah,
bust anybody. We're
right.
looking for them. And I also wanted to come up with Bigfoot Collectors Club. It's an ever evolving thing, but it also is tongue in cheeky in moments. And I wanted to have a title to give when Riley and I are going to go out in the field with somebody and do like a paranormal investigation, or just go, or for example, when you and Linda the Ghost Hunter came to Riley's house because he felt
Right.
like there was something happening towards, in his back bathroom. There was an energy back there.
Yeah.
So I also wanted something that sounded a little self-serious, like Ghost Quest,
Ghost
that
quest.
hadn't been taken. So it's a little tongue-in-cheeky, but it is also acknowledging that we're not trying to kill any ghosts. We're just
I
trying to
love
find
it.
them.
I love it because I hate ghost hunting term
Mm-hmm.
because I do feel like you guys got to remember this is like someone's uncle. This is someone's best friend. This is like your great grandmother, and you're like talking about hunting them. You
Yeah,
know?
Bigfoot too. Like Bigfoot hunting, like
Yeah.
most of the people who are out Bigfoot hunting, they're not armed and ready to shoot Bigfoot. They're looking for it. They're
Yeah.
looking for these things. They're trying to find.
Quest.
Yeah, it's like trying to get in touch with the other side. So
Yes.
that's our approach, and we've done a recent one. We were back in Kansas City. Hold on, I'm just making sure my do not disturb is on, so nobody can get in touch with me. We were back in Kansas City, which is my hometown,
Mhm.
and we were doing an event called Paracon KC, which was like a very small but very fun paranormal convention that's just come back after I think has been on hiatus since COVID,
Okay.
and just came back for its first year. But it was in Leavenworth, Kansas, and it was like in this old Masonic lodge. And
Oh, that's always cool when they do it in the Masonic, 'cause I've gone
yeah,
to psychic fairs in them. Did you feel any vibes from the
um,
lodge?
definitely. We were mostly in their like banquet room, which was just sort of like a big empty hall next door to the lodge. But it was cool because it was in downtown Leavenworth, which is like 20 minutes outside of like, Kansas City, Kansas proper.
Mhm.
And it was like, they have an old square down there. So it's got like good old vibes. And there's like an ice cream parlor on the corner,
Oh
and
my
there's like
god. I
cute
love that.
little shops. It's one of those things where like
Yes.
there's a thing happening in some of these Midwest towns. Springfield, Missouri is another one, which is a college town, where people, the like millennials and I guess some Gen Xers, but like a lot of millennials have just like come back in and taken over all of this empty real estate, and they're starting to bring a little bit of culture back to these like old like downtown centers for these small towns,
Yeah.
and it's really kind of cool to see. Um, but in the Masonic Lodge itself, our buddy Steve Berg did a talk there. We didn't do a talk. We did a live podcast performance the night before. I didn't do any like lectures or anything, but Steve did, and that was in the old lodge itself where all the members would get together, and it definitely had some energy there. Definitely had some
Mhm.
cool vibes. It's also
Did
very
you know that
hot.
I've sat in a Masonic throne
Mm.
because I used to read where I used to read, there was a couple and he was, I guess they call it a king of the Mason, like he was the head Mason.
Okay.
And so this was in Santa Monica. And let me tell you, he was like, they're kind of hippies. And I was like, well, I was really surprised he was a part of this. And I went, they used to do a podcast from there, from the Mason Temple,
Mm-hmm.
because he had been there for so long. So he took me on a tour on it, and I saw like everything. And they do have like kind of very tame, ritualistic looking things, like
Right.
something you would see to me like in any metaphysical store or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Or church for that matter,
it felt
frankly.
very more church,
Yeah.
because the reason why, because she said, I'm his wife and I'm not allowed in the ceremonies. So they have the women Masons, and they're separate from the men.
Okay.
And
Yeah, because I think the
yeah,
Freemasons started as a fraternity.
it felt
It's like
very
these
fraternity
old school traditions. I mean,
men.
the thing that I've always felt is like the Freemasons and like the Elks Club and all of that stuff. It is the Shriners. It's all this sort of, it seems to stem from a culture, and I could be totally wrong about this, but where once you graduated from college and you were out of your fraternity, you're looking for that thing in your
Group.
adult life with the business community. And it's a way to like network with other people in town and drum up business,
Yeah.
when everybody was less global than they are
Yes.
now. So, and I also think it was, aside from being a place to explore ideas that might be outside what you were going to hear in Sunday morning and your pastor's sermon.
Right.
Because I do think that there is also, there's also this sort of like self-aggrandizing, occult. There is an occult bent to it. There's a reason why the Freemasons are, freak out
It
traditional
definitely
Christians.
is an occult bit. Like they had like, I think they had like a goblet that was like made out of a fake skull. Everyone, don't get
Yeah.
crazy. Like a fake skull, and then they had this little room that they had this kind of ritual thing where
Yeah.
they swear you in
I
or
don't know
whatever.
I don't know too much about the history of it all, but I would imagine this was coming out of the 19th century when people were sort of, there were different schools of belief popping up in the spiritual movement and in the
Hmm.
enlighten, sort of like an enlightenment, and looking for new old ways of thinking that weren't connected to traditional religion and would allow a bunch of guys to hang out without their wives and girlfriends there, because I do think there is an element,
They
a
have
build
like
there's a
dinners and
yeah, I mean
stuff.
there is
They
a
said
built-in level of like baseline
community.
misogyny in
Yeah.
like, any fraternal system, obviously.
Hmm.
There's clearly an idea of like, let's get away from the women and let's be among
Those
men,
women. Let's just
but
sit here and
my
drink beers and talk. And I mean, because that's pretty much what he told me. Because
yeah.
they showed me, like, I saw the pictures and stuff they showed me. It was like these banquets they have. They're pretty like elaborate. But what he mainly told me, I said, people think you're taking over. He goes, we barely can like get meetings together.
Oh yeah.
He's like, we can barely get meetings together, let alone try to take over the world.
Yeah, these guys were like, they were doing they were basically like doing live action role play Dungeons and Dragons before Dungeons and Dragons was a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They would dress up in silly costumes, they'd sing some songs, they'd get drunk, and then they would like and then they'd talk business, you know?
Right.
And so there is a little bit of that like backroom dealings happening in some of these fraternities, and
Mhm.
maybe some of it was nefarious based on where you were and who's running the show. Maybe some of it's corrupt, maybe the judge and the sheriff are both in on it and they're doing some dealings behind the scenes that like maybe shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part it's just a like innocent thing and a bit quaint and a bit old fashioned. And now that there are Facebook groups, there's not as much of a demand for this thing anymore.
I agree. I 100% agree because he said that what was nice about it is that like if you had a problem or something going on in your life, then someone would be there. I mean, my grandfather was a mason. We had his mason ring and
Yeah.
everything. And
My great grandfather was a Freemason, and I
yeah,
guess that means that I could join if I wanted to.
I
But
could not cuz I am a woman.
yeah,
There you
sorry.
go.
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah,
I'm out. But I did sit on the throne.
that's
So there you
cool.
go. So he liked to, yeah. So and I know my grandfather he was in the Jewish mafia. So it's that world. It's like
Yeah,
that whole world. So I'm saying like that's that when I left kind of getting to know it, I was like, yeah, this just kind of looks like a big like
yeah,
club-ish vibes, like where they wear the hats with the tassels. That's what it reminded me of.
yeah. The
But the throne
Shriners.
was cool. He's like, I go, can I sit in it? And he goes, yeah. And it was very like this room with this big long table and these big chairs, and then there was the big throne that's on the top. And I sat in it and I took a picture in it. I'll put it up for everyone to see. Should
I love
I?
it. Yeah,
Or is there
you
going to
should.
be like a conspiracy thinking?
Ah, come on. Let's
I
see you
am
on that
taking
throne.
over the world.
Let's
No.
see you on that throne. Come on.
Okay, so you're at this place, and how did it go? How did that go?
It
That
was a
part of the
blast.
journey.
It was a blast. The hosts were very sweet and gracious. I wish the sound system had been a little bit better for a live show. But the highlight of it was getting to meet some friends that we've made through podcasting, guests that have been on the show,
Mhm.
like Joshua Cutchin and David Flora, who David Flora I'd met, but Joshua Cutchin I never met. He's a great writer. If anybody wants to read books that have a very unique and fun take on the paranormal, I highly recommend any books written by Joshua Cutchin. He has a really good book out now that just came out called Fourth Wall Phantoms. It's all about people having encounters with fictional characters that seem to have crossed over into the physical realm.
Is this like this is his books are nonfiction?
They're nonfiction.
So
Yeah.
this book is nonfiction, as I've heard
Yes.
you talk about this on your podcast, Bigfoot
Yes.
Collectors Club, everybody reminder. And I like need to understand what's happening. So tell me, let's go. Tell us.
Well, I mean, the gist of Fourth Wall Phantoms, and like, honestly, you should have Joshua on the show because he can articulate this so much better than I could. But basically, in all of Joshua's work, I will say that he is kind of looking at whether it be ghosts or Bigfoot. He tends to look at these things through the lens of, honestly, a little bit more through the lens that you look at things, Adela. Like he's kind of looking at the big picture and sort of connecting the dots in terms of like folklore
Mm,
and the realm of the fae and the
okay.
spiritual realm, and how these things might have more of a malleable, ethereal, spiritual composition to them over like Bigfoot is a flesh and blood ape creature walking through the woods. Like,
Like a I always say like interdimensional, like
yeah,
crossing dimensions type of thing.
type of thing, or just sort of what is actual reality here. Fourth Wall Phantoms also deals with a lot like within the realm of synchronicity and living symbolism, but uh basically the book is talking about, he's looking at encounters that people have said where they're like, I saw something that I know is fictional, but yet I saw it manifest in the physical realm. So one of those I think the easiest example for people to maybe wrap their brains around, and we've done this on the show before there was a term for what he calls a fictional incursion,
Okay.
is Santa Claus.
Okay.
People who, spoiler alerts for anyone who have kids in the car right now that might be
Spoiler
listening
alert,
to this,
spoiler alert, cover their ears.
just might want to
We
hit pause if they're in a
Michael doesn't
magical
want to
age.
ruin their life. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, everybody take a break. Three,
Pause.
2, 1. So,
Go.
obviously, we know that Santa Claus is not real in the sense that we say defined real.
Okay.
Um, but people have seen visions and have seen Santa Claus. They have seen visions of Santa hovering over their house around Christmas time. There are stories that you'll find of people who are, whether they were kids or adults, have said that they went downstairs on Christmas Eve and saw Santa Claus physically in the room, in their living room. Now, could
Now
we?
pause for question.
Yeah.
I know you know I'm going to ask. We're sure that's not like Uncle so and
Oh,
so
sure.
or
I'm sure that we can cross some of those off the list, just as we can cross some of the like mundane explanations for UFOs off the list.
yeah.
But if you get into some of these things, you're like, oh, this is, and some of them, most of them are stranger than just that. The
Okay.
idea of like, I was walking home and I looked up and I saw a vision of Santa and his sleigh hovering over my house like a UFO, except it's Santa and his 8 reindeer illuminated,
Mhm.
stuff like that. That's very bizarre, that defies any sort of physical explanation. Another example in the books, which crossed over into my world, which was weird, is there are people who have claimed that they have seen Gumby in real life, like a
Okay.
life size.
We have
So
to remind people for who are young who
so
Gumby is.
Gumby is a old school claymation figure. He kind of looks like he's basically like a flat green, almost stick man. He's molded out of clay. He's got
Right.
cartoon
Like a
eyes, nose, and
3D
mouth.
stick man. If you took
Yeah.
stick man and you blew some air
Yeah.
into
He
his
looks like
body, that's what he looks
It
like.
looks
I
like
loved Gumby growing
if you
up.
stacked a couple like old school pink erasers on top of each other, painted it
It's
green,
true.
and then gave it arms and legs and some eyes and nose and
That's
a
perfect.
rudimentary figure.
Yeah.
That was Gumby, and Gumby would go on adventures with his friend Pokey, and they'd visit strange worlds.
Mhm.
In the 1988 reboot, there's a very interesting Gumby episode where he's abducted by alien greys, which
What?
which is pretty funny. Um, and that came across
Interesting.
my algorithm recently, and I reposted it on BCC. But there are people who claim I saw Gumby walking across the road in the way that people would say I saw a Bigfoot crossing the road.
Okay.
There was a 6 foot tall green Gumby humanoid crossing the road. There are people who claim this happens a lot. There's a whole chapter on finding quotes and interviews with writers, for example, who say, when I was writing this book, this fictional book, I would hear my characters talking to me, and I
Yes.
would be channeling
I believe
these
that.
characters and putting their words to paper. And in
Mhm.
some instances, there are people who have met in the physical realm their main characters. And now, whether or not these people are other people that just happen to look and sound and
Sound
act
like them.
exactly like them, that could very well be. But
Well, I
there's
I
a
just I want to throw in a little something. I believe this because first of all, to me the other realm, so I do believe in a lot of stuff he's saying. The other realm will change their form to they know our world, just kind of
right.
look at it like that. And if you go visit another world, you're like, oh, you just kind of like download and get all the information, and you can like become whatever image to people.
Yeah, you're putting
They
on
do.
an avatar in the
You're
way
putting
that
on avatar.
you would in a video game or something.
that's what I always say. It's like a video game where you put on an avatar. I always say it like this, right? But also, if you're somebody who's intuitive and you can pick up on like energies and you could pick up on things in the realm, if you connect to the collective whole, you will pick up on like a character of someone that could be a real live person. Or you're hearing from the other realm, a person who used to live, and they're just kind of talking to you, and you're basing a character off of that. Absolutely believe that.
Yeah, and there's a really good example or fun example of Alan Moore, the comic book writer. He did Watchmen, and he kind of brought
Hmm.
Swamp Thing back into relevancy in the 80s. And a character that he created during his Swamp Thing run was Hellblazer, John Constantine,
Okay.
who, there's been the Constantine movie by, starring Keanu
Yeah,
Reeves.
it's
Yeah,
my favorite movie, Michael.
a favorite of yours. So John Constantine in the comics was modeled after Sting. He was like a blonde British guy who looked like Sting in the 80s. That's who uh uh
Really?
that's who Alan Moore and the artist at the time, I don't think it was Bernie Wrightson, it may have been Bernie Wrightson, modeled this character after. So in the 80s, John Constantine was like blonde, trench coat, cigarette smoking British guy. And
Oh,
so they changed a little bit of that for the movie.
movie. Hmm.
I think the TV show got a little bit closer to its original.
There's a TV show,
There was a TV show called Hellblazer that ran on, I think, the CW or one of those for like 2 or 3 seasons.
and
It
that was
was,
supposed to be about Constantine. I had
mm-hmm,
no idea.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because Constantine's comic book is called Hellblazer because
Okay.
that's kind of like his title or whatever.
I see.
So Alan Moore was out and about. I think he was in a pub somewhere in England, and he looked up, and a figure who cut the cloth and looked exactly like John Constantine in his mind's eye walked through the door. He was wearing the trench coat. He was wearing the white
Hmm.
shirt with the tie. He came over and spoke a few words to him, and Alan Moore was like, and Alan Moore, who's also a practicing occultist, it should be
Okay.
said, and
Oh,
magician, was like,
it's obvious by Constantine that
yeah,
he's in the know.
yeah.
That's why I resonate with that movie.
Alan Moore was like, I'm out of here because anytime you run into John Constantine, bad shit's going to happen to you because bad shit follows this guy. But then he had begun to hear from other writers that took over for writing the character of John Constantine that they would also, at certain points, be out in public and they'd look over and they'd see him across the room, making eye contact with them or approaching them. So there were other people that wrote for this character that would physically meet him out in the real
But it's
world.
not Sting. Not
It's
Sting.
not Sting, but it's
A
like
s- a s-
somebody who cuts the exact description of the fictional
I
character.
think I have to be clear. So he didn't meet Sting for the first time and thought that. He met a guy that looked like
He met
Sting.
a guy that
Okay,
he
got it.
was like, this is John Constantine. This
Yeah,
is the character that I've been writing. And, Alan Moore also talks about how storytelling and magic are the exact same thing. That
I
when you are
agree.
writing, you are literally,
Creating that.
you're spelling words, you're
Hmm.
spell casting, you're creating something that doesn't, you're bringing something that is unmanifest and manifesting it in the world, right? A
Right.
story is a spell.
Right.
And some stories are very, very powerful spells that have fully manifested themselves in the real world.
Hmm.
Harry Potter is a good example of it. Star Wars is a good example of it. Obviously, we don't live in a world where like magic is possible or Jedi are running
Or
around.
do some of us?
However, there are plenty of examples of these stories crossing over and becoming
Hmm.
three-dimensional in our reality, in amusement parks for one, right?
Hmm.
When Star Wars was first created, it wasn't possible to go to a place that where Star Wars characters were hanging out, or you could touch the walls or walk into a cantina or physically touch the Millennium Falcon. And
Hmm.
now there is, right?
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
some cases, these manifestations are explainable, but
Hmm.
also no, but I would say nonetheless magical,
Yeah.
and went from non-existence into existence in our realm. So
Yeah.
So some of those are
I
sort of
agree with that.
rudimentary, but there I also think that there is something to this idea of these characters sort of taking a life of their own and maybe crossing over into our realm in the way that we might see a Bigfoot or might see a ghost or might see a UFO. They might only exist for the moment that you're seeing them or interacting with them, and then they might just go, wash away
Poof.
back into the void. I don't know.
Well, I believe 100% because I live this way that magic is constantly happening around you if you pay attention to how things happen. Like we just got a new car I was telling Michael about, and the other one I my husband was literally saying the name of the car. He said, "Yeah, he was talking to someone and we were like, "Yeah, so we got rid of this car." And he says the name and somebody walks by with a black sweatshirt with the name of our car.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even it's black, it was just the color of the old car,
Yep.
and just walks by when he says it. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this is like, to me, I look at that like, yeah, that car's going bye bye.
Right.
You're in this world now. That's how
The
I see
Yeah,
things.
and it's also a synchronicity, right? That's a
Right. That's how
textbook
magic
synchronicity.
is. Right.
Well, and what's really funny is when I was reading Joshua's book and we talked about the Gumby stuff on
Okay.
our show,
Mhm.
literally the week after we recorded, I'm crossing the street walking my dogs and something catches my attention and I look down and it's a yellow guitar pick and I pick it up and there's a graphic of Gumby playing an electric guitar on this guitar pick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't tell you the last time that I saw Gumby in the wild, let
I
alone
can't tell you. That's right.
literally in my path. I could have
Yeah.
crossed this block anywhere. It's in my neighborhood. I crossed right here and walked right into it. So that was funny. I sent that to Josh. I sent that to Riley, and they both were like, "Whoa, weird." And Joshua had said, a lot of people are telling me they're having some weird synchronicities after reading the book. And I was like, "Well, I'll let you know if anything else happens." The next
Okay.
day, I'm picking up my aunt and my cousin from the airport, LAX. We're in bumper to bumper traffic and I happen to glance out the window and I look over in the car, the lane next to me that's just a little bit further ahead. And on the back of the bumper, there's a bumper sticker that says Gumby for president, and Gumby is on the bumper sticker. And
What?
I go, okay, this is getting weird.
Okay,
So
I just have to interrupt Michael for a minute. For those of you who didn't grow up with this Gumby character, we're talking like it was the height in the 70s and then kind of flingered around in
yeah,
the 80s.
if this were Mickey Mouse or something
So it
Marvel or
wasn't like,
Batman or
yeah,
Star Wars, this
It didn't
wouldn't
last
yeah,
past then.
and there's so many pop culture references all around us that like if it were anything else that was
I haven't seen anything
exactly. So
from Gumby in years.
okay, so it gets weirder. So
Okay.
I have my cousin take a photo. I'm like, this is weird. Just take a photo of this. And I kind of lightly told them about it, and they were like, "Oh, that is kind of weird." So that night, I'm going to bed, and I'm like, okay, just sort of to the universe, thinking, if there's something really to this Gumby thing, then I want to see a life size Gumby, right?
Okay.
Show me a life size
You're
Gumby.
testing the universe now.
Yeah, yeah. And I go to bed. I kind of forget about that. The next day, I'm driving my aunt and my cousin all around LA, showing them because my cousin's never been. So I'm giving them like basically like the guided bus tour, and we're stopping at certain places,
Yeah.
and we go all the way out to
We are all very good at that who
yeah,
grew up who are here in
we
LA.
we got lunch all the way out in Venice, and as we're coming back, I'm like, "Oh, I should show you Rodeo Drive." So we cut up Rodeo Drive, and we're in Beverly Hills, and in the last minute, I decide this doesn't mean this is very hyper specific, local, but instead of going down turning right on this main Santa Monica Boulevard to take us
Yeah.
back towards Hollywood, I jumped on Santa Monica Boulevard. Last
Mm,
minute decision, and I drive a block and we're next to the Paley Center, which is like a TV museum. And we're at a red light and my cousin goes, "Oh my God, look, Gumby." And I look out the window and right next to us on the second floor, standing at the window facing my car with his arm in the air as if to wave, is a life-size Gumby
shut
statue.
up. What the hell?
So I'm like, okay, this is fucking crazy. I'm sending pictures to Riley is like, holy shit, this is insane.
Oh,
Like
and
even
yeah,
Riley, who's very
Riley, we know
skeptical.
Riley doesn't get he
Yeah.
doesn't get easily like
And
impressed.
I don't know what it means. It just kind of feels like the universe playing with me, like I'm having this
Yeah,
secret game, this little hide and
right.
seek, like, can you find me?
Yeah.
So that so Saturday and Sunday goes by and it's the end of Sunday and I've had this is now like 4 days in a row where I've had like Gumby stuff or 3 days in a row. Nothing's popped up on Sunday and I'm
Okay.
in bed and I'm literally thinking about it and I was like, well, I asked for a life-size Gumby. I got one. I guess the Gumby game is done. And I'm reading a comic book, a graphic novel that's reprinting Amazing Spider-Man issues from like the 1980s. And
Okay.
literally, just as I've had that thought, I turn the page, and on the next page, there's a drawing of a man wearing a Gumby t-shirt in the comic book that I'm reading.
Oh my god.
And he's carrying like a mattress, so the Gumby is just sort of peeking out from behind the
The mattress.
mattress on his shirt.
Almost like teasing you like, "I'm still here."
Yep. And I went, okay, all right, well, whatever the fuck this is crazy, you know.
That is
And
so crazy.
and since then, I have been, and now this might be confirmation bias, but I have seen Gumby more in the last 3 months than I have seen Gumby in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll just be out and about and like there's suddenly a Gumby Bendy toy
And
on the shelf or a dog
it's not
toy.
like you're because you know how there's the thing, that it's the thing where you get something in your something happens to you and then you're like, "Oh, now I see it everywhere." And people
Yeah.
like will say that's because you're noticing it.
Yeah,
But
confirmation bias.
Gumby's not one of those things because it is I can tell you it was one of my favorite things. It kind of reminds me it goes together to me. Gumby and striped gum goes together like, with the zebra striped gum.
Right, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
kinda go together in my mind for some reason, and it was my older brother who's 10 years older than me, his favorite thing because he was tall and lanky, so people used to
Mhm.
call him Gumby, and I would notice it. I
Yeah.
would notice it right now because it would be so rare I haven't seen it. It
Yeah.
would stand out, be like, "Oh, Gumby, oh, cute, I remember Gumby," like the, "Oh, I miss Pokey," because you don't see it.
No.
So this isn't like one of those things I don't feel like it's a biased confirmation
No,
type
it
of
was
thing.
very weird and it's this is one of those things with the phenomenon that I'm just like I don't know what it means, but I can't argue with it. I don't know if we can replicate this experiment, but to go from like, all right, show me a life-size Gumby, and then almost to have the instinct to go, wait, turn down this road, and I turn down that road, and 1 block later, I'm sitting the if that light had not been red, I would have driven right past it and not seen it. But it was sort of like,
I feel you can replicate it because I'm a believer in
mm-hmm,
that when you tune in to what I call is the same thing as like logging onto Google. If you tune into the collective conscious world,
yeah,
then it will talk to you and say turn left. It
yeah,
will help. I've done this many times. It's like I need a parking space. Turn left. I turn. Boom. I'm not saying it's on point every time,
yeah,
but I'm saying it's kind of and that realm's like, well, if we can get him to listen to us through Gumby's, fine.
right, right. Then we'll use that,
We'll use that. Yeah.
It's pretty wild, and so we got a little off track with this, but so
No,
Joshua
but
was
it's so interesting.
yeah, it's
We all love
interesting.
it. Yeah.
You should have Kuchin on the show. He's awesome. He's such a
Yeah, send me his name
yeah.
if he's willing. I would love
Oh,
to
I'm
hear it.
sure
I would
he'll
love to.
he'll be one of the best conversations you've had on the show. I guarantee it. But anyway, so after the convention was over, Steve Berg and Riley and my buddy Dave Keith, who's a KC local and who I grew up with, who's also into all of this stuff, we decided to go to, do a little legend tripping and go to locations near the area where people had seen Bigfoot and we went out to Stoll, Kansas, which is like supposed to be like a gateway to hell, and it's like a place. It's like this little
Oh.
cemetery way out in the middle of nowhere in
What do you mean?
Kansas.
But you can't just brush over that. What do you mean a gateway to hell? What does that mean?
So Stoll, Kansas is the growing up, we all knew about Stoll. There was a little, it's a like literally a one stop sign town. I don't even think there's a stoplight out
Wow.
in Kansas, out west, southwest of Lawrence, Kansas. And there was used to be a little church in this cemetery that's burned down, but the rumors were, the legend was that the devil had been seen walking around in that churchyard.
Okay. What
And
did
there
he
were,
look like to
I think he
people?
just kind of looked like a man in a dark coat. It was like,
Okay.
I don't know, but
Underwhelming.
it was a thing.
Underwhelming devil.
But it was a thing that you heard about growing up, and there were rumors
Okay.
that like Stoll
Wonderful.
used to be called Skull, but then they changed the K to a T.
Got it.
None of that's true. And I really don't think there's much to the legend, but it was a place where like college kids would go after a night at the bars and be like, let's go out
Let's
to
go to
Stoll.
Seoul.
And like now the cemetery's gated up. But there was the story was that there was a doorway in the church that led to hell, and
Wow.
that there was stuff like if you go in there and you throw a bottle against the stone wall, it won't break. There were like all these things that would defy the laws of physics in there.
Okay. Okay.
It's just sort of a story
In the church?
in this old chapel.
Why
Yeah.
is the chapel holding
Because it
like
got
hell?
taken over by Satan, man.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
It's just one of these stories. So we went out there, and then we ended the day going to the Eldridge Hotel, which is in Lawrence, Kansas, and is a notoriously haunted hotel. And one of the
Mhm.
rooms is allegedly there is a vortex or a portal to the other side.
Okay.
So we did a ghost quest in there. We didn't see anything, but well, that's actually not true because that night I did see shadow people in my
Wait a
room.
minute. I
But
listened to it. You did have
we
experiences.
did we did we recorded an audio episode, and then we filmed a bunch of it, and there's a little bit of an overlap, but I would recommend people watching
The
our
YouTube.
YouTube because there's a lot in the YouTube video that is not in the audio episode. In fact,
Okay.
there's a point in the YouTube video where we go, now is the time to go listen to the audio and then come back.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they kind of intersect a little bit, but we did the Estes method when we were there, which is this method that's been developed from taking a spirit box, which the spirit box thing we did in Riley's house with Linda the Ghost Hunter, where you have
Yeah.
a radio scanning very rapidly
Right, right.
AM or FM stations, and words will pop through.
Mhm.
It's a medium to get like verbal confirmation
Different
from,
kind of medium,
yeah,
yes.
different kind of medium. But so the Estes
But
method takes that
but
one.
but I have a question about that because when I was listening, was he wearing headphones
Right. So
while
I'm
okay.
about to explain that. So the
Okay,
Estes
sorry.
method takes it one step further, where only one person can hear what's coming over the radio.
Okay.
And they have a blindfold or their eyes covered, and they're wearing headphones so they cannot hear the questions that are being asked in the
Oh.
room.
I like
So
that.
it's a control,
I
right?
like it.
So
I like it.
we'll ask questions, and the receiver is just saying out loud any clear word that comes through. They don't know if it's lining up with the question being asked. They don't know if
Got
it's an
it.
answer. And a lot of times, this stuff you'll get into a run where things are lining up, and it sounds as if the
Mhm.
receiver is directly answering questions that are being asked in the room. So
Yeah.
I went under first as Steve and Riley asked questions. We were down in the ballroom, and we didn't get a ton of hits. Also, like, I think Steve and Riley were kind of being a little bit goofier and asking some of the questions, but I could definitely feel a presence there being like, okay, you idiots,
Yeah.
you're gonna
That's how
this is
that's
not
what
this
that's
is
how
not
they'll
what we're
tell
gonna.
me.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, you guys are gonna have your fun, but you're not gonna get anything out of me, And I just felt when I was there
Mhm.
doing it, I was like, guys, this thing is just sort of being like, really, these are the questions you're gonna ask me. This is what you think
That's
you're
what they
doing.
say to me when people are being that way. They'll say,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a clown for people's amusement, so forget it."
Yeah,
No. Yeah.
yeah. And then we flipped it, and this part is in the audio episode where
Okay.
Steve went under and I asked questions,
Okay.
and we were in the haunted room asking those questions. And
Right.
we definitely got some hits. But that night, we kind of went, oh, well, we all went to sleep. And I definitely saw some like shadow shit happening in my hotel room to the point where I like hopped out of bed and ran out of the bedroom a couple times. And the aftermath of
Oh.
which is in the video as well. But, it was fun. And the best part about
Wait
it
a
was just
minute.
getting
Wait
to
a
hang
minute.
out with these folks,
Wait,
with my
wait a
friends.
minute though. When you were in the room doing the thing with the headphones, you said something sat on the bed next to you.
That was when Steve was under. I felt the bed move as if something sat down next to me on the bed. I felt the like mattress compress. And I
Okay.
hopped off the mattress and ran. Now that was kind of the only thing in the moment that happened in that room. But then later that night, as Steve and I, because Riley stayed and slept in the haunted room, and as Steve and I went back to our room, I was talking to Steve. My eyes were open, and I saw what looked like a shadow person pop up next to the edge of my bed, and
Ooh.
and then I
Mhm.
ran out, talked to Steve about it, went back to bed. And at one point, I opened my eyes and I thought I saw another shadow figure at the foot of my bed. And I just went, okay, I'm done. And I closed my eyes and I went to sleep. And that
You
was
said,
that.
"Okay, I'm done," and you just went to sleep?
Yep.
My
I was like, I can't, what am I going to do? But
That
it's
would never
fun.
work with me because it would
Yeah.
just like more things would happen in my sleep.
I'm just like, I'm going to put the covers over my. And Steve said he did the same thing. It was just like he put the blanket over his head, he closed his eyes, and he just did not open them until we woke up in the morning.
Yeah,
Um,
see, that doesn't work for me because I would get woken up several times a night.
yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. So my question to you is when you felt something sit next to you, like did that convince you enough if something was going on? Were you convinced that things were happening or were you battling your head going, I don't know, maybe I'm making this up in my head or
More of the well, I don't doubt that things happen in that hotel. Like we talked to some
okay.
people, and you'll hear their stories in the YouTube video. Where you're like, well, that's just they saw full formed apparitions. I definitely think this stuff goes on.
Mhm.
It's possible that what I experienced was part of that phenomenon. I also think that being amped up and excited and having fun, like there's a little bit of the slumber party vibes there that you were like, oh, am I psyching myself out a little bit here,
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
don't doubt. I don't doubt. I would need something a lot. I would need something to physically manifest itself in a much stronger form for me to go,
How
okay,
much
I
do
definitely,
Here's the thing. This is a good question for everyone. And then we're going to ask Michael this.
yeah.
First of all, when I have my check boxes of what's paranormal, shadow people's one, sitting on the bed is very common all the time. Like it's a
Hmm.
thing. What but I've had things like I've been sitting in my living room talking to people and then forgot that I talked to them and then watched something just fly off the table. Is that what you need, Michael?
I think I
What
would
do you
need it.
need?
I think I would need a full formed apparition, kind of like what I don't have time to get into the story, but I have seen one of those before. But like in the hotel for that night, for us to be like, we did it. I would want to see like a figure, like a full fleshed apparition, or yeah, something shoot across the room, an inanimate object fly across the room. I would need that, you know,
Uh-huh.
to
So
be
are we
like,
ordering one of
we
those up right now? Are we ordering that up?
no, no, no. I'm saying
I'm
in
just
the
wondering if I should communicate with my friends to
No,
say
no, no, no.
Michael would like to have that experience
I think these things happen. I'm talking about in that specific instance, in
moment.
that ghost quest at that hotel.
Okay.
I didn't get enough to go, we
Mm,
definitely got a hit.
I
I
got
would
it.
say I got a few things that I'm like, I think we got a
Intriguing.
hit. I think we got a hit, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't definitive.
Okay, that's
There
fair.
was enough of me to go, well, maybe I was psyching myself out, maybe I was seeing things, but I'm leaning towards, yeah, we got a couple hits, but it wasn't like, whew, we really got something here.
Okay, my second question to you is I feel like you're very much more intuitive and tuned in that you'll ever fully allow yourself to admit. Do you feel that perhaps you were picking up on stuff more than you would like to acknowledge? Because it did sound and feel that way listening to you.
Um I mean, also you have to understand that like in the moment I'm also hosting a show and I'm
Yeah,
trying to
okay.
make the show fun and
Mhm.
entertaining. So I'm also playing up
Okay, I got
an
it.
aspect of myself, which is this
Gotcha.
stuff freaks me out because I'm putting on a show. At the end of the day,
Okay,
I
that's
want people
fair.
to listen to this and have fun, you
Fun
know? So I'm leaning into the scaredy cat vibes, I think, a little bit more than I would in real
in real
life.
life. Oh, we should put
Because
that to test though, shouldn't we?
yeah, I mean, well, listen, not in my apartment. I just don't want shit happening here when I'm home alone. I don't enjoy that. I don't. But if I'm
Okay.
going out and seeking it out, yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I would say I'm definitely leaning into the scaredy cat vibes. And Steve was even saying, like, Michael, I think you are a lightning rod for this activity. A lot of the stuff that was happening around me.
That's all I'm
So
saying.
I'm open to that. I'm absolutely
Ding ding
open to
ding
that.
ding.
Um
Okay.
anyway, I'm so sorry. I have to run now.
Okay.
I gotta
Okay.
hop over and record my show, but
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Let's see what people think when they listen to it and see what they get out of it because people love to hear the spirit box type of thing.
Yeah.
And what do you have going on that you want to share with people to go take a listen to, take a look
Honestly,
at?
like I would love if people went to our YouTube channel, go look at Ghost Quest, the Eldritch Hotel, go check out Legend Quest, Kansas. And I've put together a playlist for people so you can kind of watch it all in order. I would love for more people to check out our YouTube channel because we're starting to make stuff over there that I think is really fun. And then of course check out the podcast Bigfoot Collectors Club wherever you're listening to this. You can get that.
Yes. Thanks so much for coming on,
Thank you.
Michael.
It's always a
Just
blast.
always a blast. Just want to remind people follow me on Adele Levine and The House Medium. You can check out my books here, The Origin Story on Amazon. And don't forget to review and all that shit. Thank
Yes.
you so much, Michael. I know you have to go record. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Adela.
Follow yourself, follow no one. Listen to your voice. See you soon.
That's right.